Welcome back to another episode of Podward State. I'm one of your hosts, Grace Cunningham.
I'm Krause.
And I'm Shannon Smith.
Today we have Michael McDermott, who's a Penn State senior and was recently revealed as the Nittany Lion in the studio in real life for the season finale. What did you guys think?
Yeah, it was a great episode. I like how he kind of read our stuff and saw our power ranking of the outfits. Grace did a good job, and he agreed.
Yeah.
And Grace got exposed a little bit.
I listened to the interview to find out how I got exposed, but he's been reading my fan posts, to say the least.
Yeah, and we all kind of like know him as the Lion. Like we've met him on several occasions, but it was cool to finally meet the face behind the figure.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense. Like, the way that he was talking, I was like, this would be the Lion's personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he does like fit the Lion.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, yeah.
In the best way. I
Yeah,
mean
in
that.
a
In the
weird
best way.
I mean, I guess we all have like met the Lion or like, you know, like seen him
Mhm.
before. But like, I don't know. It like felt like we had met him before, you know?
He felt like everyone's friend.
Yeah. He did.
Like I know the Lion's always called like the symbol of Penn State's best. That's a good representation of Penn
Yeah,
State, and it was
really
awesome
was.
to hear him talk and hear everything he's involved with, and it was just great to meet him. Great guy.
Yeah, it was a great episode. Yeah, no, it was awesome that we got him in the studio for our season finale. It just made it so much better than on Zoom. But yeah, it was a great episode. Now we're going to hop into some headlines.
Tobey Prime here. Gonna bring some headlines here, but who am I with?
Hailey Stutzman.
And Mikey DeAngelis.
Mikey, Hailey, how we doing?
Great. How are you?
Feeling good, living better. I don't know about y'all, but it's been a good week for me.
Yeah. It's busy. It's the busy time of year, but it's good. Holiday season. Things starting to wrap up.
Closing time.
It is.
You know what isn't closing? Campus Steaks. They're actually opening
Ooh.
downtown.
What a transition.
Yeah, what a great transition there. But yeah, State College are finally getting a Philly cheesesteak shop. They're going to be opening where Bradley's used to be on Pew Street, and they're expected to open after winter break. Mikey, I know you're a big fan of cheesesteaks. Are you hype about this coming in?
You know, they're taking a void and they're filling it. And I think that there's something to be said for that. You know, we lost one cheesesteak place and we're getting another. It's kind of the circle of life. But I'm happy we'll have a cheesesteak place downtown.
Yeah, same here.
You know what else isn't closing?
What else?
Canyon
Oh,
Pizza is back open.
rejoice.
Yeah, after a 2-week closure due to health violations, a lot of health violations, Canyon Pizza reopened on Tuesday, November 15th. So
I can't see myself eating there after they closed for health violations, and it's also gross. Like, I don't like Canyon Pizza. I like college pizza more, but I don't know. Everyone has their own opinions.
Look, I remember going there freshman year and seeing that ginormous ranch bucket, and I knew what I was signing up for. I mean,
I don't think-
whatever.
I
I
don't-
knew they had health violations, but I feel like everybody bites that bullet. Like, when you're drunk, $1 slice, you can't really beat that though. So.
Builds immunity.
I don't
Yeah.
think anybody saw that closure and was felt betrayed as if they had been lied to. Like you said, I think people kind of knew it and they were okay with it.
Mhm.
And I think that's okay, you know? Like, as long as, State College Borough Health Department says they're good to reopen, I think the community is going to welcome them back with open arms.
Yeah, I won't be hesitant. This pizza's cheap. I'll take advantage of it.
In other news, the Creamery is debuting a new flavor called Salted Caramel Cheesecake, and it features a cheesecake ice cream base with a salted caramel swirl and pillows of graham cracker cheesecake. I'm more of a chocolate girl, so this isn't up my alley, but I'd be willing to try it.
This
Yep.
is right up my alley.
Really?
I'm a big caramel guy. Caramel, caramel, however you say it. I don't care. I like it. Not sure about the graham cracker. I would have liked a nice cheesecake caramel ice cream, but I haven't tried it yet. I'm excited though. I think it's gonna be good.
That's enough food headlines. I'm going to just steer the ship over to my country music fans out there.
Woohoo!
That's what we're
yeah.
talking about. Kenny Chesney is set to perform at Bryce Jordan Center on March 25th, and tickets actually just went on sale last week. With a man like that, you better get those tickets quick. I actually think my mother is coming to that concert. So shout out Kathy Prime real quick.
Shout
But,
out.
Should be a great concert. I mean, just another great person coming to Happy Valley.
One of my favorite country artists. I didn't get tickets, but I'll probably buy them resale.
Finally,
Yeah, that's
Penn
fine.
State Law at University Park and Penn State Dickinson Law are going to unify as one law school. Penn State President Hailey Stutzman announced that the university's 2 law schools will unite as one accredited law school in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. So, I don't have much to add to this. It's a big headline. I'm not a law student, though, so, I'm sure this definitely is something that the law students, will want to hear about. What do you guys think about this?
I know nothing about this, but I heard people were mad. I don't know. I saw a backlash from it.
Yeah, I've been seeing some surveys or things coming out of people trying to stop this from happening. But
Yeah.
I don't know. All I have to say about this is sophomore year, I tried to do a story for Podward State where I went to every single building, and the law building was one of the buildings I couldn't get into. You had to be a law student to actually get swipe access to get in during all hours.
Oh.
And I was a little upset by that, but because it looks so cool over by the Arboretum.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's actually pretty big news for Penn State. Wow, that's wild. Now let's get into our conversation with Mike McDermott, the Nittany Lion.
Joining us now, we have Penn State senior and recently revealed Nittany Lion, Michael McDermott. Michael, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. We're excited to have you in the studio.
This is super cool.
Yeah, a lot of the times we have our guests on Zoom, so it's exciting that you're in real
Sweet.
life.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. So hopping right in, why do you choose to come to Penn State?
Penn State was a no-brainer for me. My older sister graduated from here, and so did my older brother while I was in high school. So Penn State was the only place I applied to, and it was either Penn State or work in construction. I wasn't taking any other school, not a shot. This is the only place I've ever wanted to come since I was a kid.
Nice. Love to hear that.
Yeah, so kind of hopping right into it again, what made you want to try out to be the Lion? Obviously, growing up, you probably saw how famous the Nittany Lion is in terms of college mascots. So what made you want to kind of put yourself out there and be that face for the university?
So the funny thing was that I had no intention of being the mascot. My high school doesn't have a mascot, nor do we have really a cheer program that's kind of big like Penn State's is, especially going to a Division I school. So it was more that obviously the Lion was a big part of going to football games or whatever the case may be, but it was primarily when I came to a hockey game senior year of high school. I had known who the current Lion was, and that was Zach Soa, because he graduated from my high school. So he was a senior when I was a freshman at my high school. So he was in his junior year, and I saw him at the hockey game. Obviously, I saw the Lion. And the way that he interacted with me, he came up to me, he gave me a big hug because he knew my sister who had been on campus while he was just starting to be the Lion, and he kind of knew my family from the high school that we went to. So after seeing him at that hockey game, I kind of thought to myself, man, that would be interesting if I became the Lion or if I even tried out. So I sent him a DM after that and said, hey, if you know anything about when there might be a tryout, whatever the case may be, could I get more information? And he replied almost immediately, yeah, call me at this number. I'll take a call anytime. And then I never called him because I'm an idiot. But I ended up coming to Penn State for summer session. Didn't think about it once. My eyes were on joining Army ROTC here. And once freshman year came around, that fall semester, I saw him downtown outside of McClanahan's at 1 a.m, first week of school. And we just kind of passed each other, and we were like, oh, my gosh, Michael, oh, my gosh, Zach. And we sat and talked for 2 hours until 3 a.m. about our high school, everything from our hometown. And then eventually the conversation of the Lion came up. He said, well, are you still interested? And at the time, I kind of said, no, I want to focus on this Army ROTC stuff, try and get a scholarship. And he said, you won't be too busy. Just give it a whirl. So I said, yeah, I'll think about it. He walked me back to my dorm, taught me how to do one-arm push-ups, told me everything that I would need to know. And he kept me in touch with information came out about trying out to be the Lion. And I went to all the info sessions and practice sessions, and now here I am 3 years later doing the podcast about how my time has been. So it's been an interesting ride for sure. It was definitely trying out was more of like a this is really cool, I have nothing to lose kind of tryout. But once I got to put on the suit for the first time, it just felt so natural. It was insane. It felt so natural, especially never having done anything like that in my life. It was interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what were the actual tryout process like, and what did you have to do at the actual tryout?
So the tryout process begins with a application process, and that is general information, GPA, major, what year you're in, basic information, and then a bunch of questions that range from what sports do you attend while you're here to what did you do in high school and what does Penn State mean to you. So those questions I wrote an answer and then sent to my parents about 4 times and kept getting them revised. Like, does this sound good? After that application process, they let you know if you can join for an interview. And so there's an interview and a tryout day, and they're back to back. So the interview is you're sitting in a chair with no table, no defense. There's nothing in front of you. You're just kind of sitting all vulnerable. And there's about a panel of 12 judges, and they're just popcorning questions. And there are these deep, introspective questions like, what does the Nittany Lion mean to you? I'm like, and I'm trying not to say and like. I'm trying to be all professional, wearing a suit. So that was the worst, probably the worst part of the tryout was that interview, but I thought I did really well. The next day is the actual physical tryout, and that involves having so you get to put on the suit, you have to perform a 1.5-minute skit, and it could be whatever your heart desires. You could do Jeopardy, you could pretend to be a dentist, whatever. I decided to dress up like Bob Ross, and I did a painting like I did on the field for one of my skits. I had to bring it back since that's what kind of got me the gold. But so I dressed up like Bob Ross, did the same kind of painting that I did in one of my skits on the field. And then I did that for only like 30 seconds. And then I ripped open my button-down shirt, and I had a Vote for Pedro shirt on. And then I did the Napoleon Dynamite dance. And then after that, went into just kind of like a Penn State hype, kind of just get some bonus points, whatever. If the first 2 parts didn't really appeal to the judges, then at least I had that. After the tryout, you stay in suit, and your music's done, and Zach Soa walks up to me with a trash bag full of just random props. You reach in without looking, pull out a prop, and now you have to do like 30 seconds of improv with that prop, trying to use it as something it's not really meant to be used for, or something kind of out of the box. So like if I pulled a water bottle out of the bag, I'm using it to spin the bottle, and I'm having one of the judges kiss me on the neck. Or if I pull out a Frisbee, I'm using it as a plate and I'm eating something. You know, just kind of that like on the spot, do something funny, because that happens all the time as a mascot. Like you grab something from the football field, you immediately, your first thought should be, what can I do with this that it's not intended for? That's funny. After that, go take off your suit while everybody else is going through their skit and their improv session. You come back out and you do cowbell, which is almost the most nerve-wracking thing because it's so easy to mess up. I mean, I would practice it every day in class, tapping a pen on my notebook to the cadence. But that is like in the heat of the moment, you know, there's an echo and you have all these people looking at you. So that was pretty nerve-wracking. But then after that, you have the notorious 51-arm push-ups that you do. Bang those out, squeaked out the last 2. Probably didn't look as clean as I could do them now, but got all 50. And then the judges go into a conference room, which you can see. So it's in the multi-sport complex over by the BJC, and it's on the indoor track there. And there's a conference room with windows you can look into from the track. And so you see them all conversing, and it felt like 3 hours for them to make a decision. And they come back down, and they say who it is, and then that was that.
I mean, it seems like to be in that role, you need to have a Penn State lineage, if that makes sense. So how many other people typically try out to be the Lion, and how many typically have like bleed blue and white since birth, like you have, for example?
There's a lot of people that I've met that since they were children, babies, that they have like these little lion suit onesies on, and they were like, I'm born. There are so many kids that come up to me and they're like, look at how many one-arm push-ups I can do. I'm like, well, 2042, there might be a tryout date, depending on where the current line is at. But I do have some Penn State lineage. Both of my parents didn't go to Penn State, but I've got 2 Penn State football players, a next kind of generation up, and then my sister graduated from Schreier's Honors College. My brother was just kind of like average Joe, college student. So, but I played football in high school, so I watched every Penn State football game since I can remember. Went to the Pinstripe Bowl back in, I think, like 2012, and always dreamed, almost got to go to the 2017 Rose Bowl, and then in 2018, I believe, or maybe it was 2019, when we were supposed to go back to the Rose Bowl, I was about to get tickets to go to that, but we ended up going to the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, and so I didn't really get tickets. So the current Rose Bowl is a dream come true. That's kind of like, that caps off. I don't need to do any. I have thought that'll be my last event, but I mean, you couldn't draw up Rose Bowl any better for me, especially having lost a football season due to COVID.
Yeah. Very nice. So you mentioned the Bob Ross skit that you did. Was that last?
Yes,
season?
That was the last season.
So how much influence or creative control do you have over like the skits that the Nittany Lion does, or is it mostly Penn State athletics,
All
or
of them.
can you? You get to choose.
So after every game, any game that has a home game after it. So say first game of the season was Purdue on a Thursday. That Sunday, if we have a home game, I get a text from one of the heads of marketing that deals with having my time out at a certain time, because she has to know, okay, does your skit need a big costume change? Do you need to bring props out? How much time do you need? When should I have my interns tell you, go ahead and go get changed? Because I get pulled into different on-field marketing stuff. So, but I mean, honestly, thinking of the skits is kind of all me, and it kind of happens very awkwardly. I'll be in a conversation with someone like right now, and I'll just go, oh, hold on one second, and I'll pull out my phone. I'll just type something into my notes, and it could be something as easy as Ferris Bueller. Like when I did the Ferris Bueller skit, I thought of that skit the night that I got chosen as the next Lion. I remember telling Zach Soa, who is the current Lion, I said, by the way, I just wanted to run by you. I just thought of this idea. And he was like, that's exactly what we're looking for.
That was my favorite one.
That's my favorite.
Awesome.
I had goosebumps when I was doing it. And the weird thing was, Zach filmed it for me. And he filmed it in the exact way that I envisioned it from before it happened. Like the way I envisioned it when I first came up with it, that's exactly how he filmed it. So it's really weird, like deja vu wise, but that's hard to top. That was probably my favorite skit ever. That was just so much fun to do.
Cool. What's your major? Have you always been creative?
Actually, I would say I think so. So I'm a psychology major.
That makes sense.
So I don't think contributes to it, but when I was in high school, my senior year, we changed, or end of my junior year, we were told that they were changing the way that they were doing our student government. So instead of having a class president, treasurer, all that stuff, they changed it to a house system. So it was kind of like Harry Potter. So you had 4 houses, and each house had seniors, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. And then you had 2 people that you had a captain of each house. And then you had 2 people, 1 male, 1 female, that were in charge of the entire student body. And so I applied for that role of the school captain off a dare, off a bet, because all my friends, this one kid who was class president freshman and sophomore year, he will be a president at some point, I'm sure. But he was like, "Oh, I'm so trying out for this. I can't wait to get it." And I was talking trash. No, I could get it if I really wanted to, but I won't. I'll let you have it. And then all my friends were like, "Well, then why don't you just apply?" And then I got chosen. So that kind of made my senior year not what I wanted. But when I was in that position, I had to think of pep rallies to do and all these different like school events, like a field day and stuff like that. I brought like 6 new events to the school that are still being done today. So I think that was kind of like the creative process kind of beginning. That was kind of the birth of it. But now I have to do it without talking in front of 110,000 people. And so now it's a little bit different. But I think it just kind of fed into my thought process.
Yeah. So what's your relationship with Zach now that you've kind of finished your time or almost finished your time as the Lion and you have all these kind of shared experiences?
Yeah, he's my therapist, my brother, my mentor. He's everything to me. He's just like a brother from another mother. I call him as many times as I can in a week without his boss getting mad at him because he keeps taking my calls. And it goes from thinking of skits to do for my like mascot national competition to just calling about something funny. My first football season, he was at almost every game on the field, helping me kind of get acclimated. During COVID, he was in contact with me all the time, and we got lunch a bunch of times because I was kind of down in the dumps because I wasn't really able to do anything. So he's just been a constant support for him, along with all the lines, all the alumni lines. I get emails from them all the time. It's just the most supportive group, all doing the same thing. And while each new line is kind of like a trailblazer, like you kind of have to make it yours, I pull so much from past lines because it's all one big community, and they've helped shape Penn State. So you kind of take a little bit from them, but bring your own little spice.
Yeah. And did you help with Zach's engagement?
I did.
Yeah, so
that was a total surprise to me. Apparently, when he texted me that he needed me to hold a little box, and he put little box in parentheses. Totally went over my head because when I saw him, he was all dapper, and he said he wanted to get graduation photos. So we go to where I'm changing in this building right by the shrine, and he goes, "Did you not understand my text?" Because I was texting him like I didn't understand because I didn't. And he pulls out the box and opens it up, and I like almost broke into tears. Like I was like, "Oh my gosh, I did not understand that at all." And so we both kind of had like an emotional moment, but yeah, when I basically presented him the ring, and when he was actually proposing, I was in the background of all the photos, and thank God that I'm wearing that helmet because I was so emotional.
So cool.
I mean, that's my big brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing.
So over your 2 full years being the Lion without COVID, you've done 14 home games at Beaver Stadium, more than 10 away games. What's been your favorite experience meeting a fan or a kid that's looked up to you during that time?
I would have to say my favorite experience has to be Thon. I mean, Thon, like, football is great. Traveling to away games, you get to experience a lot. You get to meet a lot of people. Bowl games are a great time. Going to Tampa for the Outback Bowl, but Thon really is the game changer in what I've done so far as a mascot because it's the most selfless thing you can do, being there for all these kids and families, especially when, it's not about me. Like, I've had a really hard time being with the whole reveal because then everybody walks up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, you're the Lion." I'm like, no, it's supposed to just be like Penn State. Yeah. And that's the best part. I don't need those kids to see me as a Lion, and I don't want any of that attention. I'm more proud that I get to like show Penn State in the most amazing light for these kids that, are fighting every day. And every thon I've ever been to, even before college, I'm Waterworks. And now I'm like in the suit and I'm having these like very special one-on-one moments with people, and it's very tough. But that by far is a great experience at Penn State, especially with, like, you talk about kids looking up to you, kids looking up to the Lion at Thon. I mean, the way they just, like, they're just in awe. Yeah, it's definitely tough, those one-on-one moments at Thon.
When you have those one-on-one moments and you get to meet those parents and kind of hear those stories from wearing the mask, how hard is it for you to kind of not talk and respond back in those moments where you kind of just have to be the face of the university and not a person inside the character?
So the hardest challenge is not like crying out loud or like whimpering like a baby. The not talking isn't as hard. The not talking becomes a problem when I play charades where I'm trying to tell somebody something and I'm only using like my body, and it gets annoying whenever what I'm doing I think makes total sense, but you are not picking up what I'm trying to put down. That's difficult. That, or when like a family member like whispers something like in my ear about the story of the person, and I just have to like, I try so hard to show the emotion that I'm feeling through the suit and through body language. That's tough because I wish I could just tell them like, that is the most amazing story I've ever heard. Like, there was one individual where she was a Thon child a few years ago, and then she rang the bell, and as a freshman she was dancing with her parents, and I was like, yeah, that was, I mean, that was one little example from last year, and there's hundreds of those at Thon. Hundreds, and throughout the entire year. All the little events that I do. We just had a Thon carnival at the multi-sport facility. Even then, I see these kids that just run up arms wide. It's incredible. I love it.
So you just announced that you're entering as an IDC for Thon with Nico Marsh, who's the mic man. So what's that going to be like for you to now potentially dance in Thon after all your experiences?
Well, that's going to take a lot of work, drink a lot of water. Man, the most important thing to do is fundraise. I'll be there no matter what as a Lion, obviously, but it's been a dream of mine to dance at Thon since my freshman year of high school doing mini Thon. As for dancing with Nico, Zach Soa in his final season danced with his mic man. So I've made the determination that no matter what, this is now becoming a tradition for each Lion in their senior year or their final year, that they dance with whoever their mic man is and try to raise money. And it's really just a special moment for me just to even announce, because again, it's not about actually dancing, it's more about fundraising, and to represent Penn State but also take on this extra task is incredible. And so I can't wait to actually start fundraising, because it was hard we tried to start fundraising early, but not only were both our schedules super busy, I couldn't just be like I'm the Lion, and it's like the tradition, like that's what the story that I want to try and get out is, that we're trying to start a tradition of Mike Man and the Lion, but couldn't really do that until the final game of the season. But we still have some time to fundraise, and can't wait to kind of free up my schedule a little bit and start really getting in some fundraisers and start contacting friends of mine and alumni and all that stuff.
So, quick little sidebar for the alumni or supporters who are watching the show. Is there any way to plug your fundraising or how they can donate to you?
So as of right now, I still need to work on my other social media platforms, but my Instagram right now primarily has the link to my donor drive. So if anybody is looking to donate, that is my current way to donate. I'm still trying to work out. I'm currently talking with my liaison, like, all right, what have I missed? Because it's been a busy season, and so I've missed a lot of like text messages about donation boxes and stuff, but I'm currently trying to get back up to date with that. But on my Instagram, which I believe is Mike McD 32, I think, or just type Michael McDermott. My profile picture is a picture of a baby sleeping on a couch, which is me. But so my donor drive link is in my bio. So
It will be in the description box.
Awesome. Love that.
So you're, on top of being the Lion, you're also in Penn State's ROTC program. So was it hard juggling ROTC, school, Lion duties, and just hanging out and being a regular college student?
Yes, it was extremely hard, but it's fun. It's fun. The number one thing I said coming out of COVID was that I will never be lazy again. I will never not have something to do.
Mm-hmm.
And while it's tough whenever I go home for a break, because I don't really get breaks, but coming home from a break and I'm like jumping up and down on the couch and my mom's like, why don't you just relax? I'm like, I can't, because I have something I got to do. And so I am a little bit paranoid, but I think that works for the better. I'm definitely way more disciplined, being more busy. But Army RTC especially makes it hard because the days are a lot longer, because I'll have PT. I'm waking up at 5 in the morning to go for a run, and then I have a full day with potentially 3 or 4 events, along with schoolwork, along with, I personally want to go to the gym and work out because that's kind of a stress reliever. And then I also would love to cook a meal or go grocery shopping or clean my room or do laundry. So all those things kind of intermix. Some days are crazy. Some days, the days that are dead is where I have to go grocery shopping, clean my room, do laundry. So it's very rare that I have a day where I can sit and like binge Netflix, because I would love to do that, but I also can't. Like, my body just can't really do that. So I definitely love being busy. This past summer was a crazy summer for ROTC. I went to beginning of the summer, end of May, I went to Hawaii for a school called Jungle Warfare School, and it was a survival school for 12 days. And then 7 days after that, I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky for another camp for 35 days. The day after I got home from that, I flew to Nashville to film a commercial for ESPN. The day after I got back from that was like 3 days. The day after I got back from that, I flew to Michigan for a very short vacation in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is a wild place. That place is weird, but awesome. And then that was 4 days. And then the day after I got back from that, I went to Wisconsin for a cheer camp and mascot camp. And that was 5 days. And then that was it.
Crazy.
But at that point, I only had 2 weeks left until I had to be back in time for like media and stuff before football. And I have to be back a week early for Army RTC as a senior, so I can help like all the new freshmen coming in. We do like a whole week of this is what PT is like, and kind of dipping their feet in the water with that stuff. So,
do you have a favorite place that you've been, just in general?
Hawaii, definitely. Well, so Hawaii is funny because everybody, when I told them I was doing this school, everybody was like, oh my gosh, but you get to go to, because it's a hard school. Like it was terrible, but it was fun at the same time. It was very tough, but everybody was telling me, oh my gosh, but you get to go to Hawaii, see the waves. I saw the waves for 30 minutes before I caught my flight out of Hawaii. Like, I flew in, immediately went to the little base where I was doing the training, and then I basically slept in a jungle for 11 days. And then my parents came out for my graduation, and that's when they drove me to see the North Shore.
Nice.
So that's when I actually felt like a tourist. Other than Hawaii, in terms of being the Lion, Nashville was incredible. I'm the total country boy, so I loved Music Row, like Music City. That and probably I'd have to say Ohio State's really, like, their stadium is beautiful. I just don't like Ohio State. But I can admire their atmosphere. But yeah, definitely Hawaii is probably the coolest place I've been so far. And I went from basically, I mean, other than away games, I was just kind of like I would only go to Pennsylvania and New Jersey for family, and beaches of North Carolina for vacation, to now I've been Florida, Hawaii, Wisconsin, Nashville, all over the world, or all over the world, all over the country. So that's been fun. But yeah.
Nice. Really cool. How do you think being the Lion has prepared you for your future after graduation?
I think discipline and dealing with a heavy schedule, and especially, well, in terms of joining the military, the willingness to be hot and sweaty for long periods of time, but definitely being disciplined is making sure that I know everything that's on my schedule and getting everything done in a timely manner, not procrastinating too hard, and also learning how to talk with adults. That is that's one of the things that coming out of high school, I felt like I was getting better at, especially in the position I was in senior year. Anytime I wanted to create T-shirts for the school or anything, I had to try and do it alongside my female counterpart, and we would get together and have to talk with these companies. So that was kind of the start, but now it's, I'm talking to Penn State athletics about going to Wisconsin for the women's volleyball NCAA tournament and dealing with that, or talking to my instructors for Army ROTC about my crazy schedule and how I can help them out with our training exercises and stuff like that. So that's going to be very important when I'm talking to majors, colonels, and generals.
So I'm sure being in the mask, you've met some people, some Penn State legends where you've been starstruck potentially. Who are those people to you, and has there been a moment where you just kind of wish you could say, like, oh my gosh, you're a Penn State legend, but I'm in this Lion suit right now?
So definitely Jaylen Brown of the Celtics, huge fan of him. Saquon Barkley was another one where I just wanted to be like, follow me on Instagram or like get coffee with me. Other than that, it's been there are people that I mean, there's a lot. I mean, one of them right now that I'm hoping I can do in the future is Bruce Springsteen. Huge fan of Bruce Springsteen, and he's coming to town in March. And so I'm trying to like work out getting on stage with him so I can just be like, I'm your biggest fan. You don't understand. But that is so difficult. That's a great question that you brought that up, because they have all these people, like LeVar Arrington comes in, and Saquon Barkley, Mike Gesicki, all these people. And I'm just like, huge fan. I remember when you had that whole catch, blah blah blah. All that stuff is so funny. But that's probably one of the hardest times where I really want to say something, especially Jaylen Brown. Like, dude, I have your jersey. Can I run home, bring it back, and you sign it? Yeah, stuff like that.
That's so cool. So kind of addressing the elephant in the room, sometimes the Lion appears to be two places at once. So how many suits are there, if you can say, and how deep is your team?
So there is no team. It really is just me. There is a backup line in case of emergency. I personally don't know of any time where there's been a line in two places at once, but there are suits at branch campuses, and there's one at Hershey Medical Center for kids undergoing treatment there. But I am the only Lion. I was the only one that was picked my freshman year. If I were to get injured, there would be one that would obviously have to fill my spot. Otherwise, there would just be no Lion for certain events. But I don't know personally of any Lion being in two places at once. But what I can tell you is I've been a lot of places for short durations. So
it's like when you go to the mall and it's Santa, but it's not the real Santa. It's like Nittany Lion helpers.
Look, all I can say is there's only one Lion.
Okay. It's the magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's him.
Yeah.
I am him.
So Penn State just got announced that they're going to the Rose Bowl. I know you talked about it a little bit before, but how excited are you to be going to that?
So that is a dream that's a me at 4 years old dream come true. Just going to the game. My mom's birthday falls on the day that they play the Rose Bowl every year, January 2nd. She when I was growing up, every January 2nd, every birthday, she sits on the couch. My dad cooks, and she watches the Rose Bowl parade. She watches bowl games throughout the day, multiple TVs, multiple games, and then she always watches the Rose Bowl. And when I think she told me I think it was 2008, my dad for Christmas said, I bought Rose Bowl tickets. And it might not have been Christmas, or it might have been Christmas, because this was before the college football playoff. So it was before they announced it this early. But he said, I'm going to buy you Rose Bowl tickets. And I feel like it was either then, or maybe it was their anniversary, or maybe it was the year before her birthday. But he said he was going to buy her Rose Bowl tickets for the 2008 Rose Bowl. And she was all excited because they were going to go to the parade, all that stuff. But my mom stopped and said, we have 3 kids that we have to put through college. We really can't be taking a trip like this now. Maybe sometime after. And so they didn't go. And Penn State ended up playing in that Rose Bowl. So it was kind of a heartbreaker. But, now when we were looking from the outside of 2 games prior, I was constantly going on ESPN. What are the predictions? What are the predictions? No shot Penn State's going to the Rose Bowl. In order for Penn State to go to the Rose Bowl, this set algorithm has to happen. Michigan or Ohio State, whoever wins stays in, whoever loses drops out. Well, then USC, they have to lose, and blah, 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 blah. And then if TCU loses, that helps the chance of whoever's in the 5 spot to get in, all that stuff. And as it started happening, I remember last Saturday night watching the USC-Utah game, and after the first half, I turned it off. I was like, we were that close. We were that close. All Utah has to do is win. And then they won, and it was just a matter of Michigan beating Purdue, and then I'm sitting there watching the college football playoff. Michigan and Ohio State are in the top 4, which means Penn State's the last runner-up for the Rose Bowl. And then at 2:30 when they were doing the Rose Bowl announcements, I was on FaceTime with my mom, and it was like this crazy, like we deserve that. My mom deserved that for 2008, and I felt like I deserved that from losing a year to COVID, because before this season, when I was talking to my mom and talking to all my friends, and they were like, hey, you got 1 year left. How do you feel? I said, look, I just need a national championship or a Rose Bowl, and I'm okay losing a season of football. But yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, it's granddaddy of them all, and it's my favorite bowl game of all time. I've been in love with the Rose Bowl and the Rose Bowl parade. I'm such a sucker for that parade. I'm super excited.
Very nice. I like that story. So, switching gears, here at Onward State, we love to power rank the Nittany Lions outfits.
Ooh,
so, can
I've
you
heard.
power rank this year's football fits?
So, I feel like number 1 might have to be, no, I won't say number 1, but are we going from 5 or 10 or?
Go top 5.
Yeah.
Top 5, okay. Number 5 will go Army Fatigues, 'cause I guess somebody in here really likes the Army Fatigues.
I do.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah, Army Fatigues is a great look. Definitely some weird vibes about it, but, I mean, I've heard that from so many people about the Army Fatigues. I'm not sure why.
Before you got in here, I was like,
I don't know. I found a lot of TikToks of people like, man, the Lion today, and I was in Army Fatigues, so I don't know. But that's that's my actual Army uniform. So
you asked
I
that.
said that. I go, I wonder if it's his actual uniform, and everyone's like, no shot. It's your
that's-
actual one.
Oh yeah, that's my actual uniform.
That's
I knew it.
Yeah. So actual boots, pants,
Wow.
everything. But yeah. So I guess at number 5 we'll go with that. Number 4. I'll go Pitbull. Pitbull was solid. I wish I should have done 2 ball caps and really surrounded the head, but that was my actual suit. My personal suit. It was so tight. It was so tight. But it looked good, Didn't look too chunky. It looked kind of slim fit. Number 3. Man, number 3 is tough because now I'm getting low. But I'm gonna bring in a costume that you guys don't know about, and as soon as you, and especially you, if you like the fatigues.
I'm so excited.
Number 3, I'd have to go with Prince. Prince is just one of those ones. Prince was literally the perfect storm of, I had that idea for months, and it was only a matter of, well, when do I use it and how can I use it? And all of a sudden, every game I looked at, because I have to have a skit ready the Sunday before that next Saturday. So by Sunday, when I get that text, hey, do you have any ideas? I look, and I'm like, well, what's the forecast look like for Saturday? A week out. And I remember the Northwestern game, I think at the time it said 30% rain. I was like, well, we're doing purple rain. We're doing Prince, we're doing purple rain. Don't know how I'm going to implement it, but I'll text you later, and I'll figure everything out. And as the week kept going on, the chance of rain got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then eventually I found out it was going to be a complete downpour the whole game. Perfect. And Northwestern's purple, perfect. And I was able to get their mascot in it, even though we totally dogged him, which wasn't really my intention. I wanted it to be more crowd noise and not boos, but, you can't control the students, so he lost that one. But, yeah, Prince was a perfect storm. I've been waiting to use that one for probably like a year and just got super lucky. So I'm really glad that I was able to do that. Second is tough. Second, I'm in between two. And that is the whiteout cape with the lion chain or Ferris Bueller. So I think I'll go Ferris Bueller. If we're talking all time, Ferris Bueller was probably, that's easily my favorite skit of all time, and that's an iconic look. So I'll go Ferris Bueller. And then for number one, I'll go Pilot Lion. And that was from my national competition from last year. And I have a photo of it that I can give to you for if you want to share it on Podward State or whatever. Yeah. If you want it personally printed out. But
put it on the wall.
But yeah, that pilot outfit was a great look. And I had the national competition is down in Orlando at ESPN Worldwide of Sports. And when I was walking around, some of the staff were like, oh my gosh. I was getting a bunch of really weird looks, but looked good. I had the whole tie button down. It was great. I did a split in that skit. It was crazy. I don't know how my pants didn't rip, but yeah, that was incredible. So that would have to be my favorite because it looks good. But other than that, I would say, Fatigues, Pitbull, and then Prince, Ferris Bueller, and then Pilot outfit.
Nice. There you have it. Those are the official rankings. Now mine are not official anymore, but
it's just fatigues were a little high for me. It's kind of basic, but
So other than outfits, do you stay on top of other things that you do? Like, for example, last year against Villanova, you trolled what their coach said. They warmed up for the noise with the leaf blowers and brought out a leaf blower. Was that your doing, or does someone from marketing kind of egg that on a little bit?
No, so that was all me, and that was the morning before the game.
That was awesome, by the way. I love that.
I got so many props for that, and that's like the best thing is now I can kind of be like, yeah, that was my idea. No, I called my coach. My coach lives like an hour away off campus, and I called him at like 5 a.m, and I just said, dude, I need you. You have to have a leaf blower. I need you to bring it in, and he didn't know at the time. He was like, okay, I'll try to find it. And he shows up and he's like, look what I found. So that was perfect. But yeah, I've had a couple. I'm trying to think of like anything else that was kind of last minute. The Villanova one was kind of notable because it was kind of going on blast. Yeah. But there have been a lot that, like the lion chain, that was like a last second, like what if I, for the whiteout game, had like this badass lion chain because I got the white shoes, which like never happens for the lion. We had that big cape, the stripe out cape. That was a last second item last year. And then there were just a bunch of like the Hungry Hippo Mario theme. That was like total like, well, what if I I was going to do Space Force versus those other three branches. But then when I was making the music, I was like, it'd be kind of funny if it was like Mario Kart music because it's quirky and weird and what we're doing is really stupid. And then I thought, well, what if I have a Mario costume? So I just needed to buy Nico a Luigi costume. But that was really funny because when Nico was getting dressed, I was like putting it on and in my little locker room. And Nico was like, dude, I can't be wearing this like out here in public. Everybody knows who I am. Nobody knows who you are yet. So there you go, Nico. Now everybody knows it's me, so they know that I dress up like Mario too. But yeah, there have been a ton of items that whether it's during the week or it's just like last minute, I'm just like, oh my gosh. And Saturday before a noon game, I have to be in the stadium 3 hours before a game because I have to do President's Tailgate at the baseball stadium, and then I do team arrival, and then pregame, and then the actual game. And I'll be at Walmart when the doors open at 6 a.m. grabbing props and making whatever. Like when I made the Pit Vipers, like that was like a last minute, like, oh my gosh, we should all wear Pit Vipers. So yeah, those were just like last minute critiques that I think make, funny items during the game.
Yeah.
Have there been any times when athletics says like you can't do that or like that's too
So
crazy?
yes, so I do not recommend this to the next line, but I guess I'm kind of I am not untouchable right now, but I'm on my way out, so I think they've let some things slide.
Mhm.
But I'm the kind of lion that's like ask for forgiveness, not for permission.
Mhm.
So there have been some things that I've done where they're like, you're not allowed to do that again. But no, I do have to, I have to, let them know about certain things. And I have gotten things shot down that you guys probably would have loved, like skydiving into the stadium with a game ball. I've been on that. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. But that's the biggest L that I've had as the mascot is not being able to do that. But yeah, no, got to keep them in the loop because what a lot of people don't understand, especially like the whole streaker situation on the field, I would have gotten fired immediately. I probably would have gotten sat for the rest of that game and no reveal until like it's just in the paper later. Like that's a huge no-no. And what I feel like a lot of people don't understand in those situations is the whole thing is a giant machine. And it is as simple as, say I tackle that guy and I get like all my fame on Barstool Sports, whatever, Lion tackles streaker. That guy sues Penn State, and then it's like the symbol of Penn State and the Lion, like all that stuff. It's so, like you learn so much in the job of like liabilities and like when mascots make TikToks, you have to have a legal team ready because there will be people that don't really like they don't know you're using their song or their sound, and eventually they find it and they're like, oh, a university, I can make so much money off of that. So Benny the Bull of the Chicago Bulls basketball team, oh my gosh, he's had millions in lawsuits that they've just had to like fork over because I mean it's a real copyright issue. So it's real, but I always ask athletics if things are okay. There have only been a few times. Like I remember one, it was a hockey game, and I remember there was a white table, like, white tailgate table. And I just kind of saw my opportunity. They were doing like, they were picking up M&Ms from one plate, putting them on another with a straw. And then they cleared the table, and I was looking at the interns. And this is where them not understanding what I'm saying is great because they had no idea that I was going to do this, so they couldn't get in trouble. But I was pointing at the table like, ooh, like me, like right there. And they were like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, get your phone. So they took a video, and I got up on like a railing, which I'm not supposed to do because they don't want me to get injured. And then I just Buffalo Billed the table. And Bill's Mafia just dropped the elbow on it. And they all were just like, what did you just do? We're in so much trouble. But they couldn't get in trouble. They didn't know what was happening. So, they just asked, don't do that. Please don't do that. And that's where I'm like, you're right. I probably shouldn't have done that. Did I know that I shouldn't have done it beforehand? The world may never know. But, yeah, but that was fun.
That's so funny. So you came to Penn State as an ROTC guy, so you've been used to training for this for a while. But did your training regimen ever switch up when you got the gig as the Lion? And how physically draining is that job?
So it really is physically draining. The biggest thing for me was I wouldn't say I probably train like 10 times more than how I did beforehand because I'll have PT in the mornings and I'll go to the gym and I'll have like a basketball game. The biggest thing that I noticed my junior year was nutrition and water intake is, obviously the water is you sweat so much water out, especially indoors for something like basketball. Like it's warm in the building for the rest of the fans, which means it's 10 times as hot for me. Football games, that's 4 hours of the actual football game, along with maybe like 2 breaks, along with the President's tailgate and team arrival and like the pregame. So yeah, like it's more like 6 hours with like 3 or 4 breaks. So it's really the biggest thing was, you have to hydrate beforehand a lot. and you have to hydrate during a lot, and you have to hydrate after a lot to keep your body from just kind of deteriorating. But the biggest thing that I realized was I was having these crazy energy crashes during the day. Like on days where I wasn't doing a lot of events, it would be like a normal day with classes, and I was having these crazy drops in energy because I wasn't getting enough food in like the night before with a game, because I'll do a basketball game, and that's like 2.5 hours. Then I come home, shower, and go to bed because I'm too like tired to want to like cook something if I don't have meal ready and prepped. And then I just roll into the next day, and I go to class, and I have zero focus. I didn't sleep well, that kind of stuff. So that was the biggest curveball, was just making sure that I had to like change my nutrition, because initially I was like, you know, I'm working out a lot. I can eat like pretty much whatever, but kind of had to change to really making sure I eat healthy and doing the whole like macro thing. But it's really important, you know, I need like 3 times more carbs than probably a normal person because of all the output. Yeah. So that was the biggest thing, was like just keeping up nutrition wise with the overall exercise that I was doing.
So wrapping up a little bit, this is a question we ask all our guests. We ask them for advice for college students, but then we also kind of wanted to ask you if you have advice for the next Lion also. Okay.
So for college students, understand that college is a giant networking game, especially at Penn State. That's one thing that I realized that high school, or at least my high school, as good as it was academics-wise, was not. We never really talked about networking, and that's number one. That's the number one thing that I think is going to help me in the future. Is I have so many contacts that I could talk to about anything military, anything Mascot, anything just Penn State, and anything just jobs. The amount of people that I've met in my position is really special, but I think for any college student, I mean, like, meet your deans if you can. You know, go to all these special events that Penn State holds and meet as many people as possible, because I guarantee you, if a Penn State alum sees your name in a stack of applications, they're going to take that extra time to look at you and what you bring to the table, just because there's that unity. And man, first voice crack on air. No, but there's that unity, and so that's the biggest thing, is understand when you're coming in that it's all about all the freshmen that I know from like my hometown that came to Penn State. Some of them I've gotten like coffee with, and I say number one thing is meet as many people as possible. Keep your freshman dorm room door open, like while you're in there, when you're first there, to meet as many people as possible and hold those relationships, and it'll pay dividends in the future. As for the future Lion, to keep it kind of concise, I would say don't forget the roots of the Lion. There's very heavy tradition in what the Lion does and what the Lion means to people, but don't be afraid to be a trailblazer. One good example of this would be that Zach Soa, when he did his time, he took what he took from all the past Lions, but then he added his own flair, completely changed like the way that the Lion did skits on the field. It used to not be every game that a Lion does a skit, and his props were incredible, and his costumes were incredible, and his little like mini skits on the side of the field. I mean, he was a god at it. For me, it was more like branching into like the TikTok game, and during COVID, I hosted live streams where I would do like live yoga with the Lion from the deck on the back of my house. I would do like tailgating with the Lion. I did a cooking show, and I had a whiteboard, and people would comment like, "Hey, Lion, checking in from Wisconsin." I would be like, "Hey, Kathy," like on a whiteboard while I'm cooking a BLT, like full in suit in my house. So don't be afraid. Don't forget your roots, and don't forget the roots of the Lion, and don't be scared to be a trailblazer.
So to wrap up the episode, we ask every guest for an intro and outro song to come into the program. So is there a particular song you'd want to play before we have you on air?
Hail to the Lion. That's easy.
Perfect.
And Exit Song's alma mater. I wouldn't want it any other way.
Love it.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming. That was
Absolutely.
a great episode. Learned lots of Lion secrets.
I mean, yeah, the fatigues, you know,
Yeah.
the fatigues. That'll never stop. That'll be an every year thing.
That's our one
now.
takeaway from this episode.
Yeah, the fatigues. I can't wait to show you the
Pilot? I'm
the
excited.
pilot. Yeah,
I'm excited.
I'll have to find it.
A secret lion outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. This was
Of
awesome.
course.
I'm Tobey Prime here, joined with.
I'm Keeley Lamm.
And I'm still Mikey DeAngelis.
Hey, Keeley, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well. It's good to be back. It's been a long time since we've talked sports.
Yeah, well, now we're here, and I don't know. Y'all smell that?
I'm smelling something.
It smells like roses in here. Yeah, that's right. Penn State is heading to Pasadena for the Rose Bowl game. We're going to be playing Utah, who beat out USC in the Pac-12 championship. We haven't been there since the Saquon Barkley and Trace McSorley days, and it's cool that Sean Clifford will get to tip his cap, I guess, to his career in Pasadena. Just a little bit. I mean, they finish off the season strong with 4 straight wins, commanding wins, if I say so myself. But, yeah, how are you guys feeling about Rose Bowl game coming up and just being, I don't know, would you guys even thought that we would be here in the beginning of the season?
I mean, this is kind of crazy. I didn't think that we were going to get to the Rose Bowl, mainly just because I didn't think that Ohio State and Michigan would both end up making the playoff. Michael said in the interview, there was a lot of things that needed to happen for Penn State to get in, and they did, and that's kind of crazy. But I'm really happy. I'm conflicted on how I think this team's going to play. We've really only played 2, great teams this year, and we did lose both of those games. But we've played a lot of good teams and won dominantly against some of them, like Auburn as an example. So I think it's a game that could go either way. Utah is a great team. They proved that in the Pac-12 championship. But I think it'll be an exciting game, and I'm just excited as a fan to get to watch. Keeley?
I guess I just echo a lot of things that you said. It's been a long road to get here, and it'll be really exciting. So most of what you said, but yeah, it'll be a fun couple of days after New Year's. Just
some odds and ends about our football team, though. First day of transfer portal came around earlier this week. Probably only the biggest loss was Christian Veillere. And also Nick Singleton, Big Ten Freshman of the Year for running back. Great to see him. Great year for him, as well as Katron Allen. So the future's looking bright for Penn State, but we're definitely happy to be smelling roses now. Okay, but football season's coming drawing to an end. We're getting into the winter months. Keeley, hoops, what's going on?
It was an exciting first month of Penn State hoops. The team's 6-2 right now and just came off a big win against Lafayette after Thanksgiving, and then a big double overtime unfortunate loss against Clemson in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. However, rolling off of that, Shrewsbury and company will start Big Ten play tomorrow at home, December 7th, against Michigan State, and then follow with a road game against number 17 Illinois. So obviously it's a big night for Penn State hoops in the BJC against Michigan State for its first home game of the Big Ten tournament or of the Big Ten season. Thoughts on this upcoming game, fellows?
I guess this is where we start getting into make or break and see what this team is really all about. Big Ten play, Big Ten Conference has been known to be really good in college basketball. And this team has shown flashes that they can compete with them. I'm excited, to say the least. I think both of our losses for the hoops team have been really close. I think Virginia Tech earlier was only a 2-point game.
Yep, 3.
And the fact that they brought this to Clemson in double overtime, I know nobody wants to harp on moral victories, but they definitely sure are. But I'm just really excited, honestly, about this whole team and the kind of future and wave that Shrewsbury's bringing. And it should be a great contest against Michigan State. Mikey, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think this season's going to be really interesting because all signs so far point to this being, a season that's going to end up close on a lot of things. We barely lost to Virginia Tech. We barely lost to Clemson. Right now we're projected to barely be in or out of the tournament if you look at a lot of the early bracket projections. So I think these early games in the season that you may say, oh, it's early, we have time, these are the games you have to win. these are the games you have to build momentum on, because as you get later in the season, you're going to need to look back on this early part of the season and not say we got a slow start or anything like that. We've got a good start so far. We got to hit conference play head on. And, the team, I think they have the talent. They just got to finish in that fourth quarter. I don't think they're doing anything wrong so far. I think, eventually the breaks will just have to come their way.
Agree. It'll be a trying couple of games throughout winter break to see what happens. But like Tobey wrote about today, Mike Shrewsbury is just begging people to come pack the BJC. So even though this is in the future, I hope you guys go to Penn State basketball games in the spring semester.
Pack it up.
Mm-hmm.
Pack it up. This
Fill the
team's
bowl.
exciting. Please.
Speaking of the Bryce Jordan Center, the Lady Lions started off their season 7-2, unfortunately 0-1 in the Big Ten. They started their season 7-0, but they dropped their last two games, one to Virginia, and then they dropped a Big Ten game to Minnesota. That Minnesota game went into overtime. But generally, they've had a good start to their season. McKenna Marisa dropped a career-high 34 points in the overtime loss to Minnesota and shot 7 for 10 from 3 points. As Onward State's Joe Lister called her, the Steph Curry of Lady Lions basketball is shooting 46.2% from 3 this season, which is really incredible.
Dog.
Freshman Shea Chesky is looking like the future, as she's averaging 10 points so far in her first season. Coming up, they have number 4 Indiana at home on Thursday, December 8th, and then going to West Virginia this Sunday for a battle against the Wolverines. So, what do we think?
Shea Chesky is awesome. Like, she is so cool to watch, and it's just crazy that she's a freshman. I mean, that just to watch her growth is just going to be like really incredible, I think, for Lady Lions and for Carolyn Keeger. So that'll be really exciting to see.
McKenna Marisa is just maybe one of the most undervalued or underappreciated maybe athletes at Penn State. She's just such a baller on the court, and I feel like she deserves a lot more love. But I really like how this team's shaping out, and it's looking really promising for both of our basketball teams, to say the least, to y'all right now.
Agree.
I agree.
Simply put.
Now let's go a little bit on the other side of the campus to Rec Hall. Our volleyball team, they're currently in the NCAA tournament, and they're at their third round on Thursday in Madison against number 1 Wisconsin, which is huge. And they got there by beating UMBC, sweeping them actually 3-0, and then beating UCF 3-1. And Katie Shoemaker-Cawley is the only first-year head coach in regionals. So our volleyball team is insane-o right now. Again, a big test against Wisconsin, obviously. But how are we feeling? Do we think we can go all the way with
Penn State volleyball's a powerhouse. I mean, I would put my money on them any day of the week. So I think that they'll take care of things in Wisconsin and move along to the next round. So I just hope that all falls in line.
Yeah, I mean, the volleyball team's historically been great. Katie Schumacher-Cawley's been great her first year as coach. Finished the season 26-7, but, I mean, most of those losses could have been wins. This is a talented team, and I think any opponent should be worried playing Penn State. I think Wisconsin's going to be a challenge, but I don't think it's a challenge that the Nittany Lions can't handle.
Preach.
Hopping into another Penn State powerhouse, wrestling is currently 3-0 and ranked number 1 nationally. Who's surprised? Not me. In its last 3 duels, Penn State's beaten Lockhaven 44-3, Ryder 37-3, and Lehigh 24-12. So obviously big wins with big leads. Unfortunately, I think Max Dean is having a little bit of a moment, but shout out to him. Hopefully we don't curse him anymore. But new guys Shane Van Ness and Alex Facundo are leading the pack, both starting 3-0 on their seasons and on their careers. And so hopefully they will continue to work on that against Oregon State on Sunday at 2 p.m. Wrestling, again, always bet on wrestling. Agree?
Oh, agreed, 100%.
Yeah.
Put my mortgage on it.
Wrestling's a tank, pretty much.
Yeah, basically. Any other sports things you want to get off your chest?
My chest is clear.
I'm smelling roses.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have to
Yes,
say.
indeed.
That was another episode of Podward State. We had Michael McDermott on the pod today. The Nittany Lion. It was awesome.
It was a really good episode.
It was a great episode. I think I've been saying this a lot recently, but I think it was like my favorite episode maybe.
Yeah, I think it was a good season finale.
Yeah,
Also,
definitely.
too, we were just saying, like, it was a short season this season, but every guest was really, really good.
Yeah.
There
It
was
like
not
they-
one that I
they were,
was like,
diverse.
yes.
I feel like.
Well, it's also cool because we're not going to have another opportunity to interview the Nittany Lion because it'll
Yeah.
probably be a freshman or sophomore next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was cool to do it at this time, and especially with his story about the Rose Bowl closing his college
Mhm.
career. That was so cool.
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
That's really cool.
That was the season finale of Podward State. We'll see you next semester. I'm Connor Krause.
I'm Grace Cunningham.
And I'm Shannon Smith.
Bye guys. Happy holidays.
Adios.